What if I told you that one of the most famous and most feared symbols in the world was never meant to be scary at all? This figure has been called a demon, a devil, and the reason for the downfall of an entire army of knights. It's on heavy metal album covers, it's in horror movies, and it's at the center of modern political controversy. But this is not the story of a monster. It's the story of a misunderstanding, a political hit job, and a 90th century magician who had an obsession with goats. And by the end of this video, you'll never look at this symbol the same way again. Let's dive into the strange, controversial, and completely misunderstood history of Baphomet. Our story doesn't start with a demonic ritual. It starts with a battle in the year 1098 during the First Crusade. A French crusader named Anselm of Ribemont wrote a letter home about the siege of Antioch. He described the enemy's soldiers, the Turks, and he wrote that they called loudly upon Baphomet as they fought. Now, here is the first twist. Modern scholars overwhelmingly agree that Baphomet was simply a misspelling. A French guy who didn't speak Arabic heard the Turks calling upon Muhammad, that is, the Prophet Muhammad. That's it. That's the origin. A 12th century typo of a religious figure from a different faith. No horns, no goats, just a lost in translation moment in the middle of a war. But this mistake planted a seed. A mysterious word, Baphomet, was now floating around in medieval Europe, and it was about to become the most dangerous word you could say out loud. To understand why Baphomet matters, we need to talk about the rock stars of the Middle Ages, the Knights Templar. Imagine the most elite, dedicated, and, importantly, the richest organization in the world. They started around 1119 as a small group of knights sworn to protect Christian pilgrims traveling to the Holy Land. They were like medieval Navy SEALs, who also happened to be monks. Because of their reputation for bravery and piety, they received massive donations of land and money from kings and commoners alike. Within a few decades, the Templars weren't just soldiers, they were the world's first international bankers. If you wanted to go on a pilgrimage, you could deposit your gold in London and pick up an equivalent sum in Jerusalem. They were incredibly powerful. And as history teaches us, the more powerful you are, the bigger the target you have on your back. Let's talk about the bad guy of our story, King Philip IV of France. He was handsome, hence the nickname Philip the Fair, but he was also deeply in debt, largely to the Knights Templar. He didn't want to pay them back. He wanted their money. So, on the night of Friday, October 13th, 1307, a date that likely contributed to the superstition we have today about Friday the 13th, Philip launched a massive, coordinated raid. He had every Templar in France arrested in a single sweep. The charges? They were heresy. The knights were accused of denying Christ, spitting on the cross, and, most shocking of all, worshipping a strange, bearded idol named Baphomet. They were said to kiss this idol and even engage in secret, obscene ceremonies. Under brutal torture, many knights confessed to anything and everything the inquisitors suggested. Some described Baphomet as a head with a beard, sometimes carved from wood or painted on a beam. But here's the thing. Before the torture, not a single Templar document, rulebook, or personal letter had ever mentioned the word Baphomet. It was a ghost, conjured by the king to justify a massive power grab. The result? Thousands were arrested, hundreds were burned at the stake, and the mighty Knights Templar was officially dissolved. Baphomet, the imaginary scapegoat, had just taken down the most powerful order in Europe. After the Templars fell, the story of Baphomet went underground for almost 500 years. It became a footnote in dusty history books and conspiracy theories about secret societies. Then, in the 90th century, something changed. Europe was fascinated by the occult, hidden knowledge, secret symbols, and ancient mysteries. and one man decided it was time to bring Baphomet back. His name was Eliphas Levi. He was a defrocked Catholic priest who had become one of the most influential magicians and occult writers of his time. In the 1850s, he was writing a massive book called Dogme et Ritual de la Haute Magie, or the Doctrine and Ritual of High Magic. He needed a powerful image for the front cover, something that would capture the essence of his teachings. He remembered the old Templar stories, the name Baphomet, and he had a brilliant idea. I'm going to invent a symbol. This is the image you know. The Sabbatic Goat. The goat head, the wings, the breasts, the hooves. But every single thing in this drawing has a meaning, and it's the opposite of what you think. Levi created this to represent the equilibrium of opposites. Let me break it down. You see the two hands pointing in opposite directions, one up, one down. One points to the white moon of mercy, the other to the black moon of severity. It's the famous Hermetic axiom, as above, so below. It's about balance. Look at the chest. The figure has both male and female characteristics, representing the union of gender and the creation of life. The torch between the horns, that is the flame of intelligence and human enlightenment. The wings, that's the ability to transcend, to fly above the physical world. And the most misunderstood part, the horns, symbolize strength and the power of nature, not evil. Levi wasn't drawing the devil. He was drawing a symbol of duality and universal harmony. He was trying to illustrate the idea that the world is not just good or evil, light or dark. It's both, existing together at the same time. But here's the tragedy. The world wasn't ready for balance. The world saw a goat head and screamed Satan, and the damage was done. Levi's drawing was the blueprint, but the final nail in the coffin of Baphomet's reputation came in 1966. In San Francisco, a charismatic showman named Anton LaVey founded the Church of Satan. He needed a logo, something edgy, something that would scare the establishment. He took Levi's goat head, placed it inside an inverted pentagram, and called it the Sigil of Baphomet. For LaVey, this wasn't about worshiping a literal goat god. It was a symbol of rebellion, of materialism, and of human desire being more important than abstract spiritual rules. But the public saw a satanic idol. From there, Baphomet exploded into pop culture. Heavy metal bands like Slayer and Cradle of Filth adopted the imagery to sell records. It appeared as the hidden demon in video games and as the mysterious boss in horror movies. Baphomet went from a crusader's mishearing to a French magician's drawing of harmony to the official mascot of heavy metal rebellion. But there is one more modern chapter. In the 2010s, a new group called the Satanic Temple, who, by the way, don't actually worship the devil but are instead a non-theistic activist group, unveiled a giant, bronze statue of Baphomet. They placed it in state capitals to protest government displays of the Ten Commandments. They were using Baphomet not as a demon, but as a legal tool for religious freedom and the separation of church and state. A symbol born of a political scam in 1307 was now being used to defend the First Amendment in the 21st century. So what is Baphomet? Is it the devil? Is it Muhammad? Is it just a cool heavy metal logo? The real answer is more fascinating than any of those. Baphomet is a mirror. Throughout history, we have projected our own fears, our greed, and our desire for power onto this name. Philip IV used it to destroy his enemies and steal their gold. The church used it to demonize a rival order. 19th century occultists used it to hide secret knowledge in plain sight. And modern culture uses it to sell music and make political statements. The image itself, with its dual hands and its mixed gender, reminds us that the world is not black and white. We live in a universe of opposites: life and death, creation and destruction, logic and emotion. And perhaps the most dangerous thing you can do is try to pretend one side doesn't exist. True wisdom comes from accepting the whole, complicated, messy picture. So next time you see that goat head with the torch between its horns, I want you to remember, you're looking at 1,000 years of mistakes, conspiracy, and a deep, hidden quest for balance. What do you think? Is Baphomet a symbol of enlightenment or just a scary story we keep telling ourselves? I want to hear your theory in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and remember, history is rarely what it seems on the surface. I'll see you in the next one.